I wanted to do the big stuff, but no one was taking me seriously.
Where do your clients come from?
All of the large scale weddings that I have done are nowhere around here. I feel like the flower girl, people were just looking at, oh, that's cute. I'm not cute. I'm a grown woman.
So if you had somebody that's like listening or somebody that's has a creative spark, they want to figure out how to get off the ground, what advice would you give that person?
If you're going to be in this business, you better have thicker skin.
And you know what else is green? Money. So how did
So my average wedding right now is probably around.
Some people are born into business. Others build it from scratch. One late night, one bouquet, one client at a time. Lexiee Campbell got her start sweeping the floors of a flower shop. No paycheck, no official title, just a foot in the door. From there, she created what would become Campbell Creative Floral Co, a business known for luxury weddings, high-end design, and bold creative vision. This year, she took the leap again, opening Flowers on 10th, a brick-and-mortar shop right here in downtown Columbus. In this conversation, we talk about what it really takes to build a business without outside capital, the difference between doing everything yourself and leading a team, and how Lexi has built a brand that's equal parts artistry and grit.
So I'm from Columbus, and I was going to this church, and one of the girls in my youth group asked me to do her homecoming flowers. And at the time, I was doing hair. I was in hair school. So I was like, I texted her back and I said, did you mean to send this to me? Like, what are you talking about? And she's like, no, I just think you could do it. Like, you're super creative. And I'm like, again, I appreciate that, but did you mean to send this to me? And she's like, yes, I can you do it? And I said, okay, I don't even know where to get them. I don't know anything about flowers. I've never even considered it in my life. I said, but I'll figure it out. I like a good challenge. And so I called around to a couple of different local flower shops and found one that had an open cooler where you can buy per stem. And it's retail, okay? So it's like getting it retail and then having to mark it up to make something off of it. I don't even remember how much I charged for that bouquet, but I had so much happen. I said, I'm never doing this again.
And then you did it again.
And then I did it again, and here I am 6 years later.
A lot of people find success in life by just an opportunity presents itself, and it's like, hey, I'll give it a shot. If you're good at it.
I just took a leap, and I was like, okay. And then the flowers ended up dying. Like, someone told me to put them in the refrigerator. And so when I woke up the next morning to check on them, oh no, they were done. They were all brown. I was like, oh God, what do I do? I said, I'm never doing this again.
Did you had to remake it, I guess?
So I had to go back up to the same flower shop. Okay. And I was like, look, I don't know who told me. She's like, why did you do that? And I said, well, someone told me to. She said, do not do that again, please. And so I had to buy all new flowers. And luckily, I'm still very close with the family that I made the flowers for. And I still do flowers for them to this day. And she was like, it's okay. Just go get the flowers if you can do it and make it again. I was like, okay. And she's like, I'll cover it. I was like, okay.
A little bit of grace, a little bit of opportunity.
It's like this. We have these conversations with people who come in here, and it's like a definite archetype of somebody who is going to. It's really kind of insight into what you're going to face later on. Yeah. About the fact that you can say, just like you said, I don't really know how to do this, but I can figure it out. I mean, there's it's a certain type of person. Not everybody's going to say that. Some people might say, no, I'm not going to do that. I can't do that. Yeah. But others are like, yeah, I could do that. How do I do it? I can do it. Now, how do I do it? And like, what's the difference? But you started, was this the flower shop you started sweeping up in, or?
No.
Okay. No, so we should say that you started by sweeping floors.
Yes.
For free.
Yeah.
In a flower shop.
I did.
Like the start
which
of
is
a Hallmark
unusual.
Movie. This is the start of a Hallmark movie.
Yeah, either that or like some people will say, you remind me of Lily Blossom Bloom for It Ends With Us. And I'm like, okay, like pre-drama, right? Pre-drama. But yes. I mean, I did, and they were so confused. They thought I was like trying to, do something slick. And I was like, you going to owe me that? No, I did it for free, and I just watched. I just sat back and watched. I'd sweep, and then I'd stop, and I'd peek around the corner. I'd sweep and come back around. How many roses is that?
Just trying to learn.
Yes. It was, I'd never wanted to learn something so bad in my life. It was so crazy.
So how did you pick where you went to do that?
So I tried, I reached out to a local florist here that I loved their work. I loved the way that their store looked. And I reached out on Facebook and was like, look, this is just something that I'm interested in. is this possible? And she was just very honest with me, and I appreciated that honesty. But she was like, I'm not interested in teaching anyone that could potentially be my competition one day.
Yeah.
And it stung a little bit. And then I was like, I mean, I get it. She doesn't want to teach me. And I was like, okay, well, I guess I'll just try again. And so I think at the time I had like 2 or 3 jobs. I have always loved to work. Some people like that, some people don't, but I'm always wanting to do something. I don't really like to sit down. I feel like I'm, being really lazy, but I have always loved to work. And so when that opportunity didn't work, I was working 2 other jobs. And my grandfather, when he was still alive, he was dating this girl, and she had a friend that owned a flower shop. So this is now the second flower shop. And they needed delivery drivers for Mother's Day. So I got that opportunity. I walked in, and this is no joke. I walked in, I had some rhinestone boots on, like cowgirl boots. They were rhinestoned. I had done my hair. I thought this was like an interview, okay, for a delivery driver, okay. Went in, boots on, hair done, did makeup, everything. And I walk in, and she was like in the back, and there's like a cat running around, and I'm like, okay. And I was like, hello. And she said, hey. I said, hey, I'm Lexi. I'm just, here from an interview. She goes, oh, it's not that serious. And I was like, okay, this is awkward. I'm like dolled up. And so she hands me this slip of paper, and she's like, pretty much, I'll need you to start on this day. I'll give you a route. You get a flat pay plus gas, however long it takes you is however long it takes you. Yep. And then after that, you just come in, give me your slip of paper, and then go back home. And I was like, okay.
There you go.
Okay.
There you go. So you had one tell you not interested in training competition, which you definitely are competition now.
No. Yes.
Yeah, no.
Definitely competition
Do you
now.
ever get presented with that opportunity yourself? If you had somebody slink into the store on 10th and say, hey, I want to sweep your floors, what would your reaction be to that?
That's a good question. I have had, over the years, because I've been doing it for about 6 years now, I have had lots of people reach out and ask me, would you be willing to teach me? Would you be, can I learn from you? And I'm going to be honest with you, when I first started getting people asking me for that, I didn't want to, because I knew how hard I'd worked. I mean, right after I had my daughter, when she was sleeping, I was in the garage working on flowers, and I'd have her monitor out there. Yep. And I would do flowers, and then when she started moving, I said, well, she's time to get fed. I'd put my flowers back in the cooler and then do it all over again all day. Or I'd sit, watching YouTube videos while I'm feeding her, So I knew how hard I'd worked, and I was scared that someone was going to take it away from me in a way, I guess. Yeah. And so at one point I was like, no, I'm not interested in doing that. And then I spoke to my mom about it. My mom is a businesswoman as well. And so talking to her, she helped give me some clarity. And she's like, Lexi, do you remember when you were in this position? And I was like, yeah. And she said, how did you feel when someone did that to you? I said, well, I understand it. I said, it sucked, but I worked for it. I worked hard for it. So over the years, as my business has gotten bigger and as I've become a better designer, I've still had people reaching out, even other designers from all over the world. So I'm kind of in the process of maybe doing something like that.
Breaking news.
Yeah.
But, if someone were to ask me right now, if someone were to walk in my flower shop right now and ask me, I would probably say, come back in 6 months.
Yeah,
and if you still want it.
An e-course or subscription type model.
Maybe.
And $20 gets you some courses, something like that.
I'm working with someone. She's actually does all my branding for me. She's based out of North Carolina.
Branding is great, by the way.
She is amazing, amazing. Thank you.
Yeah.
But we've been working on like things that I want for my business and things that I don't. Because now that I have 2 businesses, I have to be thinking about 2 different brands, 2 different reputations, 2 different expectations, and that was one of the things that we were talking about. I said, I'm at that point now where I want to help people. I don't want to hinder anybody, but I'm not going to give you the blueprint. Yeah. How you got to, or how I got to where I am is because I worked for it. I had a different path than you might have to take. Yeah. So, I'm not going to give you all the tools, but I will give you what you need.
Enough for you to get started and see if you can turn the side hustle into business, which is a good question.
Yes.
What was the inflection point on kind of having it as a side hustle or something you did as a hobby? Did you have one big wedding, or was it a series of big weddings to where the light bulb went off and you're like, I can turn this into an actual business?
So when I started doing the flowers, so let's bring it all the way back to when I first started, when I was doing the
Bring it all the way back,
deliveries.
yeah.
Okay. So I like being on camera, but I don't. Like, I want it to be something that I'm in control of, because I feel like, well, if it looks bad, I can just start over, you know?
Yeah.
So I started on
Not today. You
Yeah.
can't start over today.
Not today.
You've already started.
I started on TikTok,
Okay.
and I've grown it to almost
So what
50.
year was this that you started?
Probably 2019, 2019, I think. I think it was probably the end of 2019. I started on TikTok with the Mother's Day deliveries.
Okay.
So before that, I was just making TikToks. But now, and I wasn't doing like the dancing, like the cringy dancing stuff. I was just making, whatever happened that day, I was putting it on the internet. Well, I started, when I was doing the deliveries, I would take a video and like, this is what the back of the car looks like. And then I would talk about, oh, well, I just delivered it to this person, and then this is what happened, and I would have lots of different interactions with people, some funny, some not so funny, and people thought it was cool. So I kept doing it. Yeah. Well, after that, I was like, okay, well, since I like doing this, going back to the flower shop when I started sweeping, when she paid me, I would take that money and buy flowers directly from her, buy the stem, and then buy a vase from her, all at retail. She didn't give it to me at cost. So I'm buying an arrangement and making it myself and then taking it home. So at this point, I didn't make any money because I was just spending it on flowers.
Yeah.
And then I started making them, and I would post about it. And they were god awful. They were god awful arrangements, but people liked it, and people liked, I guess, me, and how much I liked it. So I continued to just make the arrangements, and then people started asking me for them, and I was like, okay, well, I'll deliver it, but I'm all the way out here in Salem, Alabama, if you want to do it. And so I kept doing it, and just grew and grew and grew and grew and grew.
And how many followers do you have on social media now?
My TikTok has like almost 50,000 on my personal page. I didn't start on my business TikTok until kind of recently, I guess, really diving into it. My Campbell Creative, I think, has, oh gosh, like 4,000, maybe close to 5. I think I'm like really close to that 5,000 mark on my Campbell Creative. Flowers on 10th has less than 1,000 because I just opened
started,
and everything. But my reels have taken off, so
Nice.
I expect that to get much bigger soon.
That's good. That's really good, though.
Yeah.
Like when you started off, I want to talk about that too, because you pivoted. You had a pivot that's really interesting, where you started business as the flower girl. Is that right? Mm-hmm. So this was after presumably the sweeping was done, and you kind of figured out that you wanted to go on your own and create something. So what's the idea? Because you're not flower girl anymore. It's Campbell Creative on that side.
Yes.
So what was the decision behind changing it, and what was the process involved in that?
Well, I wanted to do the big stuff, but no one was taking me seriously because I knew what I was
And
capable
the big stuff
of.
being like your large events, large weddings.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's the difference between Campbell Creative and Flowers on 10th now. I can still make beautiful flowers for Flowers on 10th, but
Right.
the scale is so polar opposite. I wanted to keep both. So when I was doing the Flower Girl, it was just everyday arrangements, lots of funerals, which I know it sounds bad, but I really enjoyed doing those. And I think that that's why I wanted to come back to doing the small stuff too, because I did miss doing those really, hard and special moments. But the turning point was that I didn't feel like people were taking me seriously. And so I said, I've got to do something because I know what I'm capable of. But I feel like the Flower Girl, people were just looking at, oh, that's cute. And I'm like, I'm not cute.
And so
I'm a grown woman.
When you say large, give us an idea, because some of the weddings you do are high budget. When you say large, give us an idea of a wedding that you may do that you would consider to be at that level. What is that person's budget they're spending on that wedding?
That's a really good question. So there's like a standard, I think, like a percentage. Like if you go on the Knot or whatever it is, if you go and look it up, what percentage of your budget is going to go to what? So what your flowers are going to be is this percentage, or if your food is going to be this, your venue is going to be this. I just tell people to throw that out the water because it really, I don't feel like that's an accurate representation of what it is, because you could have a small intimate wedding and people spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on flowers. So this side of the industry that I'm on spends so much money that it's just unreal. And to be fair, like, I never thought that I would get to this point. And people in this industry, you know, people that I used to work with told me to run away from it because there were bridezillas and there was this, and I have a mentor, his name's Sean, and he was like, Lexi, you don't have to take the weddings that you don't want to.
Right.
And so that for me was like, wait, you're right. I don't actually. So now the weddings that I take now, I'm very, very, very careful about what I take, because I really want to protect my brand and what I've grown it to. And I don't want to discredit myself and how much work goes into it. So scale of weddings, I mean, I just did one that was in Auburn, and I know that she had to have spent $200,000 on it easily.
$200,000 on the wedding. And so that name change goes in with trying to segment kind of your two offerings, which is your more, I won't say budget friendly, because it may not be necessarily that, but your more intimate setting, smaller scale, and then the premium scale. So the name change, you think, really helps you in going towards the premium scale for those types of
how
offerings.
soon did you see that reflected? Like, you had a thesis,
quick.
Okay, interesting.
Very quick.
All right.
A lot quicker than I thought, actually, because I was the flower girl for a while, and then my mentor, I spoke to him and I was like, I need to do something, like, something's got to give. I know what I'm capable of. No one's taking me seriously. Something's got to give. And he's like, well, I agree with you. The flower girl doesn't feel like super professional.
Yep.
Let's change it. And so he started throwing out some ideas, and I was like, I want that one. And so we came up with Campbell Creative, and I was like, I want something a little bit longer. Like, I want people to know what I am. And so that's when I did Campbell Creative Floral Company. Okay. And yeah, it's a little long, but it kind of reminds me of, like, you know, Campbell Creative, but it's a floral company. You know what I mean? Kind of, it's together, but it's kind of.
So did somebody suggest to you that you needed somebody to help you kind of navigate this new industry that you were getting into? Or was that an idea that you had, that you reached out to somebody to say, hey, act as my mentor in this?
So there's multiple different types of florists and different designers in this industry. Okay. So there's some that are like DIY, or they don't have very much money and they just want whatever. They don't really care. And then there's people that want their flowers, but they don't want to spend a whole bunch of money, and there's people that do want to spend a whole bunch of money on them.
Well, the idea of a mentor, the idea of going into an industry that you're not familiar with, maybe, or that you want to be familiar with, and having somebody come alongside you and help you navigate that. It sounds like maybe that's what this Sean person is doing.
Yes.
But I didn't know if it was your idea to seek that out, or if you had somebody come alongside and say, hey, you probably need to find somebody with a little bit more experience, and then you can ask them those questions.
So I knew that I wanted to grow, and I follow lots of different designers. And some of them teach like mentoring, and some of them don't. And Sean, I'd followed Sean for a really long time, and I really liked his work. I like his style. And he was just very unique. And I could appreciate the way that he ran his business. And so I watched one of his lives one day, and he was talking about it. And so I immediately like got off of his live and messaged him. And as soon as he got off, he reached back out to me, and we got on a phone call that night. And we connected, and we talked about things that had happened to us in the flower business before weddings. And I knew from that moment, I was like, yeah, this is someone that I want to work
and now
with.
Is he in this area? Is he
No,
a different part of the country?
He's actually based in Atlanta, but he travels all over the world.
Okay.
Like,
so you think if you were also based in Atlanta, do you think he would have given you the same kind of guidance that he's given you? Or
yes,
okay.
Maybe. He, just like I'm very careful about what weddings I take, he's very careful about what mentorships he accepts.
Yeah.
And I think he only takes like 5 a year. And he doesn't just tell everybody how he runs his business, but I mean, he's more than just a mentor at this point. I mean, he's my friend. Yeah. We've done the whole mentorship, and now we're at the point where, hey, I need help with this, or hey, how should I handle this? That kind of a thing. But
it's an important thing, and we see it. It's quite common with entrepreneurs is I say it every podcast, but you have to have people to be successful. And that could be whether that's employees or whether that's clients or mentors. You need to network, and it can be scary because not all advice is good advice.
Yeah.
And not all good advice is something you can easily implement, or maybe not right now. So I think it's very important for people to see is don't be afraid to ask, and don't be afraid to not know it all. And mentorships are a great way to do that. You have to vet it, and you have to be careful, because you can have a person that's a really great friend.
Yeah.
Maybe the most terrible business mentor.
Yeah.
Right. But it's good you went to somebody that was in a larger market area, at least locally, even though he's traveling. He's in Atlanta. It's a huge area. He's probably got so many different experiences that you can live through his advice, so you can avoid those. So it sounds like that was been very helpful. And so to this day, you guys are still well connected.
It's been over a year. I think it's been maybe a year and a half, 2 years since we started that mentorship. And he told me, he's like, Lexi, once I'm your mentor for life. I'm like, okay, well, buckle up, buddy, because I love to ask questions.
So how was he able to help you break into like the high-end wedding market, or how did that happen? What was your first one?
So my very first big wedding was started at $12,000, and then she kept adding stuff because at the time she worked at the venue, and I think this was probably 2 years ago now. It was a wedding venue in Auburn. It's a beautiful venue. She worked for it. So as she's planning her wedding, she's seeing what all these other girls are doing. And she would text me every weekend. I'm not kidding. Lexi, I really want to add this. And I'm like, sister, we can't keep adding stuff. I'm like, of course I would love to, but we're running out of time. And so we worked it all the way up to about $14,000. And I think I was in my living room whenever it happened, and I just cried, and I just was like, I cannot believe that I have gotten to this point.
And
like, thank you, Jesus.
Do you think that, let's call it $10K plus for a flower contract for the wedding, is that kind of the level where it starts to break into what you would define as a luxury wedding?
So my average wedding right now is probably around 15 or 16,000. Like, it's normally not lower than that. On the Campbell Creative side of things, just because of how my pricing structure works. It works for me and it works for my brides, because at the time I didn't have really much overhead, and I don't overcharge for anything because my team is paid for, that kind of a thing. So
that's really interesting. I mean, just for especially I was married very young. You were married fairly young. And budget weddings, and then
But I will say that's one thing that, like, we were talking with somebody else before about babies and having your first kid, that just kind of like a money suck because you're just constantly throwing money. But wedding, I think, would be another area that you're not going to say no.
I mean, if she wants those flowers or that dress. And so
there's a reason why entire industries have spurned from weddings. I mean, there's like, that you're not going to say no to a wedding. If you want a real big grand piano, you're going to get a grand piano. If you want real flowers, whatever.
That I think is benefiting you probably, just from like demographic changes, I guess would be the best way to put it, is people are waiting until they're more financially secure to get married. And so now they can have the wedding that they want, and they can splurge on it.
That and I don't say this in an ugly way, but like their parents. A lot of these, especially the girls out towards the Auburn area, those I'm telling you, those girls, they do, their parents will pay for it, and I love it because they want to make their kids happy, because some of these girls are their only children. They're their only kid. So the parents, they'll come up and they're like, whatever she wants. So I'm like, okay.
So is that
absolutely.
Is that the biggest difference between a wedding that would be maybe smaller than that, maybe that you started out doing, and the weddings you do now? Is it different from a complexity standpoint, or is it different from, it's definitely different from a dollar standpoint, but what are the other differences between those two types of weddings, or the types of flower arrangements?
What do you mean? Like,
so a lower tiered wedding would maybe is not as much. Is it like a straightforward process? Like, this is what your budget gets you, or there are more things added to it as you go up in price as far as the wedding is concerned?
So with Campbell Creative, if someone came to me and they said, hey, Lexi, I only have $5,000. I would have to turn them away to protect my brand. And it was really, really hard because I have always been a people pleaser and I've always tried to help. And I just wanted to do it. I just loved flowers. And it was when I was asking my mentor, like, hey, I just got this. And he was like, Lexi, where do you want your business to be?
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to be ugly about it, but you can just tell them like, hey, I'm sorry. Unfortunately, this is kind of, out of our price point.
Right.
I would love to refer you to so-and-so, or, if your budget decides, if your budget grows, and we can work together, then let's do it.
That may be hard for some people listening to understand that, but we definitely understand it. We have friends and clients in Louisiana that either currently do or have done photography and floral arrangements and we've seen them grow over the years from low end to high end. In fact, one of the individuals that shot my wedding back in 2007. Yes,
I was going to help you out, but I kind of just wanted to watch you squirm.
2007.
Do not forget it. Do not.
Went from a $500 photography to doing 20 grand overseas. But that's when you're really good at what you do. That's a natural part of this type of service industry, luxury service. You're going to have to scale that because you only have so much time. There's only one of you, and if you're the lead creative person, and you know that you're good at doing that, it takes that leap of faith and branch out, and you have to start. I wish I could do, because that's where I started. I wish I could do the $500 or the $1,000.
Yeah.
And we've seen that, and I think it's a very important way of people like yourself of how you grow and get that following.
It's also a part of, like you're saying, it's a part of growing a business. So somebody who's just coming in and starting a business, you're going to be hungry for that, and you're going to take anything that comes your way. But as you grow and as your revenue gets higher and as your time gets more limited, then you have to make those decisions about where I want to spend my time to protect your time, to protect your brand, to protect, the way you present yourself. And so that's a natural progression. That's hard for any business owner to say, I've got somebody who wants to spend a couple $1,000s with me and I have to tell them no. I mean, that's a terrible feeling. Like 2 years ago, 18 months ago, 6 months ago, I would have said yes.
taken it and jumped on it.
And now you're in a different spot. But it's, it's growing pains. And you also, that could be a way for you to help. Maybe you don't have somebody sweeping your floor, but maybe you do have somebody who says, hey, I'm over here in case you get too busy or whatever. And you can say, hey, go see here, her doing whatever.
Well, and now I'm able to take those weddings. So Campbell Creative won't take it, but Flowers on 10th will. So that's another reason why I wanted to do Flowers on 10th and have a flower shop, was because, one, I didn't want to go back to a 9-to-5. I didn't want to go work for somebody else. Because as a woman, I don't like being told what to do. So
I don't like being told what to do either.
So it just made sense for me. And I remember I was working at this place in Auburn doing flowers for them. It was a really beautiful, beautiful, beautiful place. And they wanted me to be their floral designer, like the face of floral design. And it was a really big deal. And it just did not work out, and it fell through the floor. And I remember that my last day I left in tears because of just the whole situation. And I called my mom. Well, prior to that, I was thinking, maybe I need to open up a flower shop, and because I wanted to go back to the smaller weddings. Like, I want to just do the flowers and someone come pick them up, know. But because I wanted to protect Campbell Creative, I couldn't do it, and I didn't like telling people no. So now I can do it now, and
and I did before
diversification.
And
is what we would call that.
Before we dive a little bit more into the Flowers on 10th, I kept wanting to say Campbell because that's what we were talking about.
Yeah.
Flowers on 10th. I did have one last question on the Campbell Creative. Is the importance of area, because you mentioned Auburn, and for those that are listening, they may not be familiar with this particular area, or they may be new to Columbus or listening from another state. How important is it? Because being in Salem, you're fairly close to Auburn, but having to, if you're going to do luxury services, how important do you think it is to have a close proximity to areas that are higher income? Or would you, even if, let's say, you were 40 or 50 miles further south, or west or east? What would be your strategy, you think, in trying to tap into that market? Would it be the social media, or do you just think it's if you're in the area and you know that you can go in there and compete for some of those weddings, you're just going to take advantage of it?
Yeah. So Flowers on 10th is obviously downtown, and Campbell Creative is based out of Salem. So all of the large scale weddings that I have done and have been booked to do are nowhere around here. They're all in Auburn or farther away. People find me on TikTok. People found me on Instagram from a reel, or they saw my work because, and I used to do the ads on Instagram, but then it just got to be complicated. So I just said, if it reaches the right person, it reaches the right person.
So that social media strategy is helping you get, it doesn't really matter. So as long as you're producing a good product and you're marketing it, in your case on social media, it's just going to get out there.
Yes. And I was actually just telling someone, this girl at the pizza place right here, I was telling her, because she was, telling me that she has a business and that kind of thing. And I said, social media will be your best friend, and you can't let it consume you, but it really will, because social media is everywhere. Everybody's wanting to scroll and see what the coolest or the funniest video is. And
speaking of which, like, follow, share.
Yeah.
Since we're
No, you're doing that yourself still across all channels?
I do everything myself. Okay. And I've grown to love it, kind of. It's just hard. It's stressful.
Well,
but
how do you strike a balance between what you have to post for Campbell Creative and what you have to post for Flowers on 10th? And do you have a set schedule there? Or when you're in the shop, you just post shop stuff, and when you're out of the shop, you post away from the shop?
So I have looked at the insights on both of my pages, and I can see when people are on and when they're not, and what does better than what. So, just being open, my post, like physical pictures and things like that, they do okay on my Campbell Creative side. But it depends on when I post it and what the pictures are of. So right now, when it's not really busy season at all, no one's getting married right now. It's too hot. It's 107 degrees outside. No one's getting married.
It's raining.
And raining, You got best of both worlds right now. So I'm really focusing on my content, but real content, because I'll have videos.
REEL.
Yes,
real
real.
content,
Yes, the Instagram reels. That one, it has just blown up, and some people think I'm funny and some people don't. So,
Yeah, that is one thing that we have discovered. We started doing the social media stuff as sort of, we're not in the flower business, but we are in the financial advisory business. Sometimes I'm not sure.
It sounds very lucrative.
Yeah. But you have to have, we try to put out a lot of content. There are maybe a subsection of people searching for like financial advice or content or like that. But, when we first started posting, we just shake our head at some of these comments, like, man, these people are mean.
They're brutal. They can be brutal.
People.
But you have to.
He's probably one of the ones posting. Yeah. Look at him. He's shaking his head.
You have to. So, when I first got into this, and I had this situation at the first place, and I cried when I walked out. I think it was my mom and my husband and the owner of the store told me, if you're going to be in this business, you better have thicker skin.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, okay.
Easier said than done sometimes, because you got to get used to that.
Yes. Yeah. But I had to learn very quickly, in whatever business you're in, if you're going to put anything out for the world to see, you have to have thick skin, because some people just don't care, And so I had to get past that. When I was posting in Facebook groups, asking questions, hey, how does this bouquet look? And people were ripping me to shreds, Now I don't do that.
Yeah. A wise person said, haters going to hate.
Haters
the
gonna
second
hate.
time yeah. So are you exclusive to one social media platform, or do you try to cross post across a bunch of them?
So it's funny that you asked that, because for some reason I can't get my Flowers on 10th page on Facebook to connect to my Flowers on 10th Instagram. It just posts to my personal one. So I'll have this business video post on, everybody's like, oh, this is great. And I'm like, well, great. It's not supposed to be on here. It's supposed to be on Flowers on 10th. So I have to re-download it and try to post it on there. But I really try to get on Instagram for both of them, because when you click on my Instagram, you can see all of my work.
Yeah.
All of it. And that's why it's so very important to only post what you want people to see, because when people click on my page, that's what they're going to see first, and they're going to make that assumption right then and there. Oop, I like her stuff, or oop, nope, goodbye. And then they just click off of it.
So is this Campbell Creative that you're talking about specifically, or is it
Both.
Flowers? Okay,
but
so it's both.
specifically, yes. So specifically Campbell Creative, but really both. So for Campbell Creative, if you go on my Instagram, you'll see that there's only professional photos on there. My reels and stuff, those are, you know how you can like remove it from the profile grid? You can move it to strictly reels. That's what I have done. So I can still have both of them, but when someone clicks on that page, if a potential bride,
see more of a curated image.
And I want it to look professional. I want it to look organic, and I want it to look beautiful. And so I've tried to be very careful about what I post on that page, because I want big budget brides. And if they see
And a decision like that can be made almost in a split second, because a lot of options you're looking through. So, I mean, that goes to show the care you put into that obviously is going to translate into the care of the actual arrangements that you're going to be hired to do. And
do you have any, like, sorry,
No, that's fine. Go ahead.
mess you up, but do you have any like metrics to say, where do your clients come from? Are they mostly social media organic? Are they mostly referrals? Are they a combination of the two?
Well, honestly, so remember I told you about my branding girl, she asked me whenever I was filling out, all the initial questions, she said, you didn't put in a website URL. I said, I don't have one. She said, you don't have a website? And I said, no, that's why I need you. And she said, how long have you been doing this? I said, 6 years. And she said, and you're doing these large scale of weddings with no website? And I said, yeah. I said, I don't know how I'm doing it, but I'm doing it. So I just try to be very mindful about every little bitty thing.
So a lot of people talk about you.
Yes.
Is when they see weddings happen, are the brides tagging you in those pictures? I mean, is that a lot of how it happens?
Yes, and a lot of, so I really enjoy working with specific photographers. So if I had it my way, I would only work with ones that fit my brand. But I've gotten to a point now where when a bride inquires with me, you have to put your planner, the venue, the date, who your photographer is, and if you're having like a band or a DJ, because if you have a photographer, like if you're getting married at a beautiful venue and you have a wonderful photographer, but she doesn't line up with my stuff, I'll probably take it. But if you're getting married somewhere where it doesn't really align with my brand but the photographer's good, I'll probably do it, because I know that I can
make it look good.
Yes, I can make it look good. But, some people will say, well, I want to have like this moody wedding, and then they hire a photographer that only does light and airy. I'm like, they don't match. So it's going to make my work look bad. So I just try to,
It's so very interesting, all the complexities that go into that.
Oh,
and
yeah.
if you use code momentum, a 50% off a luxury wedding. I'm just kidding.
Well, you know what? Like, go ahead.
No,
I'm not going to step over you again.
One more time.
I was just going to say that what I've seen, like from some people, sometimes business owners will like incentivize people to share on social media. They'll give them like 10% off or something like that if you mention this post or you tag this post or whatever. I thought that's such an interesting way to go about it. I'm not sure how I feel about it completely.
I would tell them they have to do it.
okay. Here's how.
If you take the wedding, you have to.
And
Here's
it's just
how-
like services. It's other things too. I mean, there's people all over Columbus that do
Here's
that.
how I feel about the whole discount thing, because I don't offer it with Campbell Creative. I've never been asked, but I don't know if I really would. But someone said to me one time, "You will never see Gucci go on sale, so why would you?" And I was like,
Unless it's on
"You know
Poshmark.
what? Unless it's on Poshmark."
Poshmark, it may be stolen.
Or unless there's a global pandemic,
But if now is a great time.
Now is you know what?
If
Ask
now,
that question.
Now is a great
It's
time.
a burning question. You got to ask
to
it.
transition a little bit to
scared.
Flowers on 10th, because you do a lot of, not just here, not in the Atlanta area, but all over the place. But you decided to kind of get back to, in part, to that small market and this serving smaller arrangement needs, to open a brick and mortar store in Columbus, Georgia, called Flowers on 10th. And I guess, was it just the desire to get back, or was there another kind of financial incentive that was like, hey, there's a need and I maybe can fill it and also feel good about it at the same time?
Yes. I'm trying to be careful how I answer this. So again, I did not want to get back into a 9-to-5. I knew that whatever I did, it had to be related to flowers. So I didn't have the money in my account. I didn't have nothing was lining up for me at that time. But I was like, I don't want to be sitting at home during the week when I don't have a wedding. Like, it's just not me. I need to be moving, working, something with my hands, something with my feet. Like, if my back's not hurting, then I'm doing something wrong.
Yeah.
So that place that I was telling you about in Auburn, I started doing flowers for them. It didn't really work out. I went home that night and I just kind of got in my feelings. And I was like, maybe I should just open a flower shop. So then the next day I got on the phone with my mom and I was talking to her and she's like, maybe it's time for your flower shop. And I'm like, okay. So she wasn't even with me. We FaceTime a lot and or Facebook Messenger, and we're on FaceTime and she's looking up places for rent.
Wow.
And I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'm going to go. Well, I went to Montgomery to go pick up flowers while I'm on the way back. She's like, you need to stop at this place and see what it looks like. So I stop and I'm like, I'm not feeling it. It doesn't feel right. And I said, I'm not kidding. I said, I think I would like it more if it was green. You know, I love the color green, and I've always just wanted like an old vintage flower shop, like old. And so I left the guy. I still have not gotten a call back this day. Okay. I called the number on like the big thing outside. It says, call this number to, talk to or whatever. Yep. So I called him, left a message, never got a call back. As soon as I left that day, I was like, God, this is not like, you brought me this far. You would not give me this place. It doesn't feel right. It's not right. So I got home. I started processing those flowers from where I picked it up. And I don't know if my husband's watching. I don't know if I was just looking at Facebook Marketplace or it was just up on my screen. I don't know. So I look over and Facebook Marketplace is open. And there's this image of 2 coolers for sale. And they were really cheap. And I was like, oh, no, something's got to be wrong with it. So I click on it. And it said Columbus, Georgia. And I'm like, what in the world? So I reached out to her and I said, is this available? And she was like, yeah, it is. They were very cheap. And I was like, is something wrong with them? She said, no, I just had to close up my shop. My husband has to leave. He's in the military and we got to up and leave. I said, okay. I said, what did you use them for, if you don't mind me asking? She said, flowers. I said, flowers? I said, what are you talking about? She said, yeah, I had a flower shop downtown. I said, hold on. Okay. Hold on one second. I was like, aside from the cooler, I said, I'm so sorry. I know this is a really hard time for you because I know you didn't want to give it up. I know you just said that, but where is this flower shop? Yeah. She said, let me send you a picture of it. It was green. It was perfect.
There you go.
And I was like, oh my God. I called my mom and I was like, Mom, I found it. She's like, what are you talking about? So I found the flower shop. And I called the leasing agent that day, left her a message. We talked, and then we met and saw the store that next week. And I was like, this is it. Wow. This is it.
So it was already kind of set up for what you needed. It felt
like it. It felt like the Lord was just like, okay, here you go.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And you know what else is green? Money. So how did the from the permits to kind of building out, how was that a kind of a money drain, or was it not as bad as it sounds? It was, yes.
Yes. No one tells you, how to do anything without getting paid, so if I wanted some business advice, I'd be like, all right, well, and here's an invoice for you, and then I'll give you everything you need. But of course, for me, I've always loved a challenge, so I just dove in head first. Like if I could have hit my head at the bottom of the pool, I probably did, because I didn't know what I was getting myself into. But I've just been figuring out as I go, because I know flowers, how to run a business. I kind of got that, but how to run a storefront. No.
A little different.
Yeah, I just had
employees.
Yeah. Well, and I just had to go to a facade board meeting. Thankfully, they approved my signage that was already up.
Okay,
yeah, it was already up, and I was like, oh God, I hate to have to take it down.
Well, with this historic stuff down here, I guess they are very particular about
the brick
what they are.
In my building, I don't know if y'all have seen the back, but in the back where I work, all the brick that's in there is so old that it I'm surprised that it hasn't crumbled apart, but we had to seal it. It's from the 1800s.
Yeah, we had some experience with that in Monroe when we built out a few different storefronts in the historic area, which is it's always interesting doing that because it's more of an experience as you go through and do it, and you really appreciate it more than just kind of a standard build out type situation. There's a train track that would run by and make the brick crumble. It's amazing after 100 years or however old that it was still standing. But yes, we did a nice sealant, and I always appreciate when I walk in somewhere and it's an old, I go over there and I look at the mortar and see if they've sealed it. It's very important to do that.
You know what's so funny about you saying that is when I first walked in, of course it was empty. There's nothing in there. So when she was walking us through to show us everything around the corners, there was red dust, like red clay dust everywhere, because I'm connected to the Rankin and there's CSU students above me. And there's also, I think it's like a dance studio or something. So anytime I have heard them a lot, and they it sounds like they're just running up and down just like this. And it would put powder all over the ground. So that's why I was like, we have to seal it. Do I have permission?
We had a train running behind our building, and every time it ran by, it would do the same exact thing.
Dust fall. And so we got to do something. There's not going to be a wall left. I don't know
crazy.
how many more years we have left of this. But that's interesting. So you got your permit, or you got the store frontage, the way it appears approved, opened up, did your grand opening. How have things been since? And do you feel, kind of being from this area, feel like a, personal connection, saying, hey, I'm in the uptown, as it's called, the uptown area. I've got a historic building, beautiful store. You feel kind of proud of yourself, a little like a notch on your belt, so to speak?
I do. I'm very proud of myself. And I have always been really hard on myself about that kind of stuff. Like, I could do better. But I really am, because I've had support, but I've done it all on my own. And, to see myself go from making arrangements out of the money that I made from delivering flowers, now I have my own flower shop and I have a floral company. Yep. It's very rewarding to see how far I've come. And, it gives me hope that, even though it's slow season right now, I know that it's not going to be like this for long. And I feel like I'm starting another flower business from the ground up. So I'm like, well, if I did it one time, I can do it again, and I'm from here, so a lot of people that were ordering flowers from me, they wanted a flower shop and they wanted me to be closer. And so now that I've had a lot of people that were like, I'm so glad you're here, or people that live around here. We needed this. And I'm like, well, here I am.
I think it's great. I mean, a lot of people have gone to ordering flowers at like 800 Flowers and some of this stuff online.
Please don't do that.
It's just not, they're not good.
Well, and let me tell you why.
It's just not good quality.
And I'm so glad you brought that up. Regardless of whatever, no matter what it is, flower related, if you want to buy flowers online, this is what 1-800 Flowers is. It's an order gatherer. Okay. So say someone orders, and I've seen this firsthand. This is why I'm telling you this. So you order a $150 arrangement for your wife. Okay. And you order it right now. Do it. you order it from 1-800 Flowers. Okay. $150. They're going to take a fat percentage off of that and then send it to the first person on their list, because they pay for it. It's called a wire service. So all the florists around here are typically are on a wire service. Okay. So when that order comes in, they can accept it or decline it. If they accept it, they fill that order, but it takes a chunk off because they take from that $150.
Right.
So now they're only working with maybe $100, $125. Well, then you also have to account for the design fee, and that's typically between 20 and 25, sometimes 30%, but typically 20 to 25% of that order. So now your $150 order has went down drastically, and you're not getting $150 in flowers. So instead, call the actual flower shop. Even if whoever you call, don't order them online, because you're never going to get what you pay for, ever.
Naturally, they're going to have to use lesser quality arrangements to be able to get the order out.
Correct. They're going to, and they never look like the photo. No, I wish I had my phone on me so I could show you. It was, oh my gosh, I'm going to show you all when we get done. It was bad. It was so bad.
Personal opinion, not defamation. Just personal opinion on it. I mean, it's just, it is. Sure, but I think it's great to, instead of going online and doing that, just
well, it's like they were stuck, and when you get into these wire services, you're stuck on a contract. So they can't get out of it like they want to. And I've seen where hundreds of people, they're new florists, and they'll get in those Facebook pages and they're like, hey, I was thinking about a wire service, and everybody's like, no, don't do it. We're stuck. We can't get out. And the very first thing, when I got some advice from a flower friend, she said, do not get on a wire service. Do not do it, because you can't fulfill that order, and so in return it makes your flower shop look bad. And whoever that flower shop was, I still don't know. It was way far away from here. I know that they did the best that they probably could, but it's like they're leaving them with nothing to work with. And I feel like people should get what they pay for, no matter what it is.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, people want to feel like that too. They don't want to feel like they got taken or
Of course, especially
anything
with
like that.
flowers, because some people, some people see the value in flowers and some people don't. And that's the difference between Campbell Creative and Flowers on 10th. Some people want to spend hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars, and some people are like, I just want to get something for my mom.
Yeah.
I just want to do this. So,
So if you had, if we're thinking about, we don't have somebody that came to your shop that's sweeping up, but maybe we have somebody that's like listening, or somebody that's has a creative spark. They don't have a lot of money. They want to figure out how to get off the ground.
Mm-hmm.
What advice would you give that person?
watch YouTube videos.
That's good.
That's where that's one of the places that I started, because, I can speak firsthand that flower shops can be very, for lack of better words, cutthroat. It's hard to get into, and can be very stubborn. And so when I was told no, I was like, okay, well, fine, I'll figure it out myself. So I started watching the YouTube videos, and when the guy that brought the flowers around and the guy that brought the greenery around, they both gave me their cards. So I guess they may have seen something in me, and I order from them to this day. They come to my flower shop and give me stuff to this day. But I was ordering, and I don't think I was supposed to, of course, because I didn't have a wholesale license at the time, but I would buy flowers from them and then just pay them cash for it. And so that's how I was able to do it. And if someone really wants to try it, watch YouTube videos, write down notes, and just practice, because I was making some terrible arrangements when I first started, but people liked it and people bought them, and I thought that they looked good at the time, but I had to start somewhere. And, you could go to a local flower shop like every Thursday, not to shout this out, but every Thursday I have last week's blooms on sale. So since I started,
that's a good idea.
I've always wanted to have a reputation of having beautiful flowers and fresh flowers. So if someone has an arrangement that lasts for forever, like I want it to be mine.
Yeah.
So in order for me to keep that, every Thursday I put last week's flowers in there so they can come get it at a discounted price.
Yeah.
Because some people are just like, well, I just wanted to put some flowers together, or, I didn't have a lot of money. I just wanted to bring something to my friend that just lost her dad. You know what I mean? Just things like that. So every Thursday I do that. And I feel like that's a cool opportunity too. If someone just says, hey, can I buy a couple blooms? Sure. Can I buy a vase?
And try
Sure.
your hand at it and see if it works. And then always start with funerals, because the client cannot complain. So that's another great tip.
Where's the drum?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have sound effects.
It's getting later in the day, so we got to keep the energy
Well, I mean, I will
level up.
say, we appreciate you coming out. We're going to wrap it up because we're coming up on time here, but we really appreciate you coming out. It was
Yeah, I've enjoyed
awesome to
it.
talk to you, and we're definitely going to be watching. We've got some things coming up that we definitely are going to talk to you about as far as arrangements and stuff. But
Okay. Excited.
we're interested to see where it goes. We're excited for the store. It looks great. Again, the
Thank you.
branding is fantastic. Love
Thank
all
you.
that. So
Thank you.
we
And
wish you the
that's,
best of luck.
Campbell Creative Floral.
Yeah,
and
tell people where they can
Flowers
find you.
on 10th. Where do they
Yeah,
find
so
you?
on Instagram, it's Campbell Creative Floral Company. And for Flowers on 10th, it's _Flowers on 10th. And my TikTok is Campbell Creative, and then on Facebook is the same thing. But a lot of my communications with people is on Instagram. So that'd be the best place to find me.
We'll put links and everything on there. But yeah, we appreciate your time.
Yeah.
Thank you so much
thanks,
for doing
guys.
it.
It was great.
Yes,
Great.
ma'am. Great job.